Hello and welcome to Catheee Paints. I'm Cathy Wappel and I'm painting miniatures tonight. Normally I say I'm painting miniatures today, but it's nighttime now, so I can say that. These are the two minis that I'm going to be working on first. Oh my gosh, hello everybody in the chat. Okay, Barbo. Big Jim Slate Gaming, how you doing? Simeon of Trier. Hey, Simeon. And Dio. Dio, you are not first. Sorry. Sorry, Big Jim Slade beat you out, Dio. Thank you, Dio. I hate Gen Con TV. What do you know? I got it right the first time. I had no idea. I'm like, well, I'm going to hit go live. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll hope for the best. Dio says it showed 0 when you said, yeah, but I guess everybody jumped on right away. Hey, Dio. Mike Disney. Hey, Mike. How you doing? So, I guess it's time for me to paint. I mean, usually I just hang out for a little while and chat, but we're painting. We got these two guys. I still have my palette from earlier today when I was streaming on my own channel, which is Cathy Wappel. That is my channel. And I stream there 4 days a week painting. Well, technically I stream 3 days a week painting, and then every Friday I do a reading stream where I read Pulp Fiction of the early 1900s. Although the last few Fridays I have not been reading pulp fiction. I've been reading The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, which is so not pulpy. Not compared to some of the stuff that I've been reading. So I dumped out my old water in my fancy water reservoir. Some people may recognize that as a bottle cap, but bottle caps work really well for all sorts of things when you're painting miniatures. So I save them. I save them and I reuse them. Diomedes Industries, you're so sweet. Hey, Megan. Planar Nights, how are you? Tooth Dark. Big Jim Slade says H.G. Wells did not use supple. That remains to be seen, Big Jim Slade. That remains to be seen. I mean, it is a valid word in the English language. It's not only used by Robert E. Howard in Conan novels. Although sometimes it seems like it. Everbleen, Big Jim Slade. Everbleen. It's Catmia Everbleen. Right? So, so this is an orc. And I feel like we want to make some kind of greenish skin on him. I don't want to go full on, bright green. We'll just sort of work our way into the greens. But since earlier today I mixed up a nice light green color, we'll start with that. So I have yellow. So these are the Reaper clear paints. I like to use these for pretty much everything nowadays. The clear paints, there are 9 colors. Yellow, green, blue, phthalo, clear blue, clear phthalo blue. There's 9. Magenta. Magenta is great for mixing into anything. I literally use it for everything. Let's see. Clear. No, that's the old clear, but where's the purple? There's a purple. There it is. Clear purple, clear green, clear red, magenta, orange, phthalo blue, blue, phthalo green. So we're today for this for this guy's skin, we're going to use clear yellow, phthalo green, clear orange. So I need to get more of this out on the palette. This is actually the same stuff I was using earlier today when I was painting up my goblin, this goblin bust that I'm doing. So I'm working my way up to green. So there's supposed to be a light coming. Let me zoom out. Let me let me just real quick zoom out here. There's supposed to be a light coming, a light source coming from underneath. So he's lit from underneath. And then another light source coming from above. So from above, he looks like this. And then you turn him over and he looks like he's lit up from underneath. So we were using this green on this guy. He's still a work in progress, almost done, not quite done. I still don't know what I'm going to do with the eyes. I have no idea. So, but this guy is who we're working on now. Thank you, Mike. Mike says that goblin looks amazing. V says, this is an orc. Are we going to mix? We are mixing paints. Peter Atkinson, hi. How you doing tonight? Glad you could make it. Big Jim Slade says, true story, Cathy puts clear magenta in her tea. Yeah, it's true. Everything. Everything. All the things. Alright, so we need to put these paints on the palette before I can put them on the model, so I need to shake them. Plainer Knight says, yeah, that looks fantastic. Thank you so much. Peter says, I'm so excited you're here on Gen Con TV. I am so excited too, Peter. I'm giddy. Giddy. You should have seen me earlier. Some of these people did see me earlier. I'm putting fresh yellow on the palette because my yellow from over here was too dry and it got little yellow dry bits of paint in my color, which then transferred onto the model, which made it kind of more of a pain than it really should have been. I can see that soon I will need to crack open a new bottle of the phthalo green too. That's almost gone. And orange. Hey, Fangwad. You have the best ideas, Peter. Simeon says so much talent in one person isn't fair. Aw. Shucks. Giddy, we're bouncy. We're very bouncy right now. Peter and me and some of us. All right, so green. I'm just eyeballing this. There's no measuring. I have some green here. We'll hold it up. I have some green. I have. We'll grab some orange. So I have a nice. I love how the phthalo green and the orange make this particular warm sort of green. And it isn't like the same green that you would get if I mixed the regular clear green with the orange. And now I want to grab some of this and mix a bunch of yellow in it because I want a light color. I want to start with sort of a highlight green. So I may mix a little white in with it too. This is a nice little green. I'm going to put a little more orange in it. And I'm going to take a little bit of white. So the white is a titanium white. It's an artist acrylic rather than a miniature paint. I like it because it's a little thicker. The pigment is a lot more dense and opaque. So this seems like a nice green color for our highlight. It may not end up being our lightest highlight, but it's a good start. Peter says Cathy Bonsai is raiding us. She's one of our hosts on Table Takes. Oh, thank you so much for the raid, Bonsai. I totally missed that. Welcome in, raiders. Like 5 minutes late after the fact. 10 minutes. Gosh, when did that happen? GenCon TV says Bonsai is the longest reigning host of our Friday series Table Takes, also starring Peter Atkinson now, coincidentally. I have to confess I'm usually watching my friends play D&D on their Twitch channel on Friday nights. That's my must-see TV Friday nights, but you know, I'm a nerd, so your mileage may vary. I want to catch Table Takes, and you know what? Since I'm busy Friday nights, there's VODs. There's VODs, right? Or is it on YouTube? Are they on YouTube as well? After? Tell me. I'm new to this. Dio says, paint the danged mini, Cathy. Fine, Dio, fine. Like I'm just meeting people. It's all new to me. It's new people. New people coming in. Like Bleeger Dragon says, no painting, only distraction. Only distraction. All right. So we have a highlight. I've already set up priming. Let me just talk about that. I've already set up priming on this model. I already built a base for it. The base is made out of a combination of cork and pine tree bark and ballast, railroad ballast. I used a piece of cork for this rock. So there's a lot of textures going on. You know, I wanted to make this look natural and something that was suitable for a big guy who is wearing a helmet that's moose antlers. So yeah, so green skin is what we're doing. I started out with let me just rinse my brush so my paint doesn't dry on it since I'm talking about the primer. I started out mixing 2 primers together. I like the Stynylrez primer. I used gray and I mixed the terracotta with it. Now, this is intended for airbrushes, but I happen to know it also works if you just brush it on with a regular brush, which is what I do for all my minis. I don't airbrush them, I don't rattle can prime them. I just use a brush. I just slop it on. That's all I do with my Stynylrez primer, and they always turn out great. But this one, I also did a dry brush of a lighter color over the top, so you'll see that already on it there are some lighter areas and some darker areas. I took some gray and just sort of dry brushed and just hit the highlights So it would bring out some of the detail on the model. And now we're going to add color to it. Because Dio said I should paint. And I have to do what Dio says, right? Whatever Dio wants, Dio gets. Whatever Dio wants, Dio gets. No, Dio never gets what he wants. That's the rules. Dio never gets what he wants. Well, there's some green. There's some green. Wait, Peter says table takes is in the afternoon. Ah, that's when I'm streaming. That's when I'm reading books out loud to people. So I will definitely have to catch that in a VOD. Bonsais is actually finishing things on stream. Who does that? Oh my god. I'm so glad I'm not the only one who doesn't do that. Yeah, distraction. That's like 20% of a painting stream distraction. Tooth Dark says old people. You were so quiet when we had that big dinner together last at Gen Con. Tony says Badger Ken would be disappointed. Ken would not be disappointed that I don't use an airbrush to put my primer on. At least I use his primer. I have an airbrush. I've just never used it. You're right, the first stroke has happened. Yeah, Dio's like, that's enough paint. That's done. We're done. Done. Sorry. Peter's table takes VODs are on the Gen Con video YouTube channel. Excellent. Perfect. JD Weicker. It's a solid stroke of green across the upper pectoral. It's arcing beautifully up away from the sternum and landing just shy of the armpit. A solid first stroke from this veteran painter. It's in the hole. It's in the hole. JD, does that make you my color commentator? I feel like that makes you my color commentator. Right there. And I feel like we'll be letting this brown primer show through in some areas on this model, rather than covering it up. I think we'll let it work for us on this model. Now, because these are Reaper Clear colors, they're a little translucent on the first application. But once I go over this a little bit, again, with this color, it will get more opaque and more saturated. And that's one of the things I love about the Reaper Clears. I know so many people who have hundreds of miniature paints, and I have like 9. I mean, I do have other miniature paints, but I seldom use them. I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you're not into mixing paints. I know a lot of people aren't. But mixing paints was always one of the fun things for me in in my high school art classes that I took. So that just remains part of the hobby that I love. So I was ecstatic when Reaper came out with these single pigment colors. And by that I mean there are no whites or blacks or grays mixed in with these colors. There are no other colors mixed in with them. There's a red pigment. It's just one pigment. It's kind of like a cadmium red, I would call it. Very close. I'm hitting the top edge, the top edge of all these muscle groups here. You can see I'm not doing the whole arm. I'm not just painting the whole arm green. I'm painting the tops of the muscle groups. And then I'm sort of letting it fade into that darker color. And then like here you can see this line. I'll start at the top. And right here. So we're already getting some definition here. Hey Ford Fitch. Good to see you. Hey Justices. Hey, how you doing? And Deck Knight. Oh, and Queez. It's Queez, not in Megan Paints. And Cookie Mandius is here. Wow. All my friends. All my friends are showing up. And Big Jim Slade. It's a tasty looking cup of clear magenta you're sipping. Yes. This is my tasty cup of clear magenta. Excuse me while I enjoy some ginger peach tea while it's still hot. I do paint sometimes. You got me monologuing. Fangwad says, wouldn't want Gen Con TV to get used to too much painting at once. Yeah, that's so true. You gotta ease into it. You gotta ease into that painting. Cavarause's technique, please. You dab the paint, then touch something I can't see. What is it? You got me monologuing. Says, is this how it's going to be every Tuesday stream now? Am I gonna have to find a different night to stream? I can't answer that for you, Tony. I need to turn the brightness down on my camera. It's like I had it for when it was light and the sun was shining through my front window. And now it's dark because it's nighttime. So I have to make alterations in my lighting and settings, it would seem. Yes, it is a weekly show. Every week it will be like this, Tony. Welcome to Wonderful. Thank you, Gen Con TV. Alright. And with that, the paint did dry on the tip of my brush, so I had to rinse that off. And now there's too much water on my brush. All these little muscles. Just put my light color up on the top part of each little muscle. So he's looking a little more like the Incredible Hulk. I also just realized that my focus was set for when I was painting that huge goblin bust. So to just adjust my focus a little bit here. Tony says that's it about I can't compete with Cathy every week. What? It's not a competition. Not a competition, Tony. Happy yes, Fangwood, happy little muscle groups. Hey, Acid Burn Punk. Mayor of Canada says March 9th, 1910. First woman to receive a pilot's license. Is it entertaining paint drying? Well, as long as watching paint dry is entertaining, that's what it's all about. You wouldn't like me when I'm orky. Yeah, yes, Big Jim Slade. Sharing a brain with JD, that's a bit scary. PM Papa says your manicure is at least the same quality as your painting, so now there are two things I'm jealous of. Wait, I just clipped my nails. I don't have a manicure. But thank you. I asthma. I feel like I'm caught up with the chat. Gotta paint. Gotta paint. Gotta paint. Whack some more green on this guy. I'm also not going to go with my lightest green. I'm not going to go all the way down the back with this color because this light color is on the top. You know, our light source or the sun or whatever will be hitting him across the shoulders. It's not going to hit down here on this part of the back. So we're not going to use our lightest color all the way down there. We'll stop it about there with this color. We'll get darker colors down there. I say that and then I put a color right here, you know. Sometimes you just gotta break your own rules. I see this is the joint where the arm attaches. I'm okay with being able to see that a little bit. It's not bad. It's actually pretty clear, clean. So yeah, you know, it would be faster if I just painted the whole thing one green color. But, you know, then it would just be flat. It would look much more flat than it does. See, there's all these fabulous details in the model. So we want to at least let people see them a little. I am breaking my rule. I am putting a little bit of this lighter color down here. I'm calling it reflected light, like there's light reflecting off of this surface right here, maybe up onto his back there. So we'll just get a little bit of this color down there. Also, thing I laughed about when we were assembling this. I say we because I assembled these models on my stream is that there's all these sharp swords sticking through here. And this guy has this great big battle axe. And what happens when he swings it? Isn't his elbow just going to go right into these on the, you know, on the follow through? I said I don't care. I'm still going to. This is an optional bit. The little uh, thing with the swords is an optional bit for this model. So I stuck it on there and I didn't care if it was going to chop his elbow every time he swings his axe. Sometimes you can't think about things like that. Hey, Brothers Murph. Heck yeah, mini painting. Yeah, brothers. Diomedes Industries says, are you done painting this yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? How about now? Planar Knight says, thank you for explaining the lighting, your perspective. Thanks. Glad I could help. JD says, that's his sword caddy. You know what he needs? He needs a goblin to carry them, and that's his sword caddy. Why doesn't he have a goblin to carry them? Hey, Rathmore, how are you? Tooth Dark says, no, don't be introducing realism here. I know, forgive me. It was but a momentary thought crossing through my brain. I still love him, and I still gave him this bit despite that. I love the idea of Orc Barbarian wearing a moose antler helmet. That just just amuses me. So many muscles. And we haven't even done his abs. Well, we did part of his abs. I'm just saying, this guy is awfully sexy for an orc. We haven't even looked at his face yet. Let's look at his face. He has a cute nose. There's not a ton of face showing underneath the helmet. And he has big teeth. And the bonus with this one, if you're the kind of person who has trouble painting eyes, you don't have to paint the eyes on this. The eyes are way underneath the furry part of his helmet. So, yeah, no eyes if that's something that is a challenge for you. And he's wearing shoes, so I don't have to paint his feet. But we gotta paint his hands. Hands are one of those things, especially if they're on an axe, that is easy for me to sometimes forget. I'll be painting along and I'll think that I'm done with something, and then I realize that no, I never painted the hand that's holding the weapon. Like if it's holding a weapon up in the air, I'm like, whoops. Or if it's barefoot, I'll forget to paint one or both of the feet. I don't know what it is about hands and feet. Maybe they're just not the most interesting part of a model. Or maybe they're part of a model that the sculptor doesn't think is very interesting, so they don't pay that much attention to it, so it ends up just, you know, I feel like sometimes you can tell when a sculptor is doing part of a model that they're not really interested in. All right, I don't need my highlight on the underside of this. We're maybe going to put a little bit of the highlight just on the knuckles on this side. If anybody has questions too, let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. I'm just looking him over, thinking, what else? What else? Okay, so we're done with our light green. We can do our shadow. Let's do a really dark color and get the shadows going, and then we'll go back and do the midtones. Hey, Jarrett. Jarrett's Terrain Minis. JD says, I guess you'll just have to pick up some figures from Frameworks Wave 2. I know. Wait, Wave 2 has goblins, JD? Is that what you're telling me? Are you telling me Wave 2 is goblins? Look, I have this giant. I have this giant. Hold on. This giant. This is the D&D Frameworks. So this is the hill giant. Look at him. We are going to have so much fun with this. I want to have a stream where I just am assembling this guy so that we can all experience it. All the pieces, because they have options too. Just like this guy had this as an option, he also had like I think he had a shield and a sword or an axe. Do we had a hold on. I have the box. So he had the two-handed axe. He had the sword caddy. He had the one where this arm is holding an axe or a shield, or maybe both, I suppose. And then he had this arm with the sword slung over his shoulder, which would have also been a good option. Then he had another head option, but I had to use the moose antlers. And then the top knot part broke off of mine, and I didn't feel like pinning it to fix it. So, you know, so he just has that sort of Mongolian hat sort of thing going on. Are we all caught up? Everybody saying hi to everybody? Like a party? Look, yeah, he's got a great. Oh, the hill giant. He has many rolls of flesh, and it's going to be really fun to paint. Sheza Gaming. Hey, Sheza. Fangwad says, I told her to pin it, but she was weak and gave up. Look, I made a whole sword for this guy out of a paper clip when the sword broke. So, you be quiet, Fangwad. It's Pierre. This is Pierre, the rapier. On the elf ranger. We'll do his skin later. We're working on this guy. What I need is a dark color, so maybe I go blue. I put my blue out here over here. We'll see what we get with mixing the clear blue with the orange. We get a nice dark green color from that. I'm gonna make a little more. I hesitate to use black if I don't have to. This is a nice dark color. Not like other people can't use black, but you know, I don't use it very often. So the clear blue and the clear orange make a nice dark uh, green blue, blue green, bleen. They make a nice dark bleen color. Sheza says, how are you celebrating International Women's Day with Jim? I'm celebrating International Women's Day with Jim by streaming miniature painting. It's two stream Tuesday. I streamed earlier and I'm streaming now. So let's find our darks. We're gonna do exactly the opposite of what we did with our highlight colors. We're gonna go in and find all the dark areas with this color. I'll have to be a little careful with this though. It's not as forgiving as my light color. And since I have to put it in the crevices, there's going to be some times where you just I can't get a good angle of it. There's this whole area under his arm that's going to be in shadow. So I'm sort of watering down the paint. I'll go to my fancy water reservoir and just wet the tip of the brush and then take a little bit of the paint. Test it on my thumb. I mean, you can test it on, something not your thumb, but my thumb is right next to the model, so I just find that's easier for me. One of the things you'll see me do a lot too is I'll put paint on the model and then I'll rinse my brush off real quick and blot it and then take just the damp brush and use it to move that paint around on the model before it dries. It dries really fast, so that's something that you have to do fast and it takes a little practice. But it's so worth it. Now I'm just trying to shove this dark color up into these areas that I can't even see. Like, they're all in shadow for me. Big Jim Slate Gaming says maybe she can share some of her favorite clear magenta recipes. All in good time, Big Jim Slade. All in good time. Later, when I do the brown on his pants, we'll be using magenta. I know that sounds weird. Why would you put magenta on brown pants? But just wait. V says, are you going to tell us about moist brushes tonight? Hey, Gren, no cookies. Gren, shoving things places. Yes, I'm shoving these damp bristles into all kinds of dark places. It's the only way to get into these crevices. We knew. That's what it was going to be. Okay. I need to put my brush in the right color of paint. That would help. So now we're doing the shadow underneath his pectoral muscle. Rinsing my brush off, taking the damp bristles to move the paint around and thin it out. And we'll do it again on this side. Rinsing the brush, using just the damp bristles. So now he looks even more like the Incredible Hulk. Tooth Dark says, I bet we've all put our brushes in the wrong color before. Oh, I'm sure we have. I've put whole models in the wrong color before. Oops. You know, when you drop the model in the paint water, or you drop the model on the palette. Yeah, or you drop the paintbrush on the model. We've all done it, right? If you haven't done it, you're not painting enough. You need to paint more. And then all those good times can be yours. This guy, rock hard abs right here. I feel like there would be more shadow up underneath his arm here, so we're just gonna put some more in there. And I'm gonna do a line of dark under where his armpit is. And we're gonna bring it all the way up to his shoulder muscle here. You know, imagine there's that shadow underneath here. This is that glazing I was talking about. Well, his antler is in the way. Hold on. I will hold it this way. So he goes from the dark and it just gets a little lighter, but I didn't do any wet blending there. It's all just glazing, just thinning out the edge of the paint. It's like you're erasing part of the paint. Whoops. I had too much paint on my brush there. So I watered down my bristles and just immediately moved it around before it could dry in one big blob. You don't want to paint too much all at once doing it like this. Otherwise, your first paint will dry out before you get a chance to go back and do that glaze with the damp brush. So we're just back to working muscle groups again. Oh my, what's happening in the chat? Gren says Butterfinger is the true enemy of the mini painter. Do not butter your mini. Do not butter your fingers before you paint your mini. Not recommended. Yeah, laundry day is easy when you carry around a washboard. Hips, hard abs. He's flexing for his war cry, says Gren. It's a very important element of it. Yes, yeah, you gotta flex for the war cry. Vliga Dragon, you are correct. This is not an orc moose centaur. It needs more centaur. So you would have to cut off his torso and stick it on a horse. Which is not impossible. A Canadian orc, yeah, he says sorry. Before he splits you in two. Or after. Or both, probably, since he's Canadian. Raiding your village for poutine, yes. Acidburn wants to know, how damp is it? Kinda soggy or moist? It's moist. It's moist, Acidburn. Hey, Rage Quit. They let me on Gen Con TV, Rage Quit. I know, right? Crazy. Cut off his torso and stick it on a moose. That's true. If you stick it on a moose, then that would be much easier, a much easier way to make a bull moose centaur. Orc moose. Bull centaur. I don't know. Words. Words. Who needs them? Speaking of moist, says Tony. Making me drink some water. Thank you, Tony. Daya says Cathy will be fired after all her friends coming along with Cathy. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Gwen Lula, how are you? Bullwinkle the orc. Yep, Bullwinkle. How did I not? How did I not think of that as a name? His name is Bullwinkle. Someone, yeah, Dio. Someone has to take Misko's spot for Misko. No Misco. That's weird. That's weird not to have a Misco. Alright, so I got some dark underneath here. Let's see, we'll bring that dark around the bicep. I keep wanting to stick my brush in that other paint, and it's kind of driving me nuts. What can I do? No, not much. Just avoid it. And if you do use that paint, make it into a happy accident. Right? That's that's what you do, right? That might be a good mid-tone color anyways. Alright, we'll do some dark lining around the fur cuff of his bracer. If you can call it. Yeah, I guess that's a bracer. Yeah. I think we'll just leave that that little bit of dark color right where it is. I like that bold shadow right here. So we're getting there. We're getting there. There's so many parts we haven't done yet. My elf ranger's not getting much love tonight. There's not much I can say about that. Sorry, elf ranger. Bullwinkle is just getting all the attention. Star Lady, welcome in. Star Lady says I'm really interested in this. He's a handsome fella. I will just sit here and spin yarn. He is a handsome fella, isn't he? He's adorable. I feel like I need to adjust my focus a little bit here. I'm a little out of focus. Or maybe it's that I hold him back to see the overall, and then when I paint him, I get him closer again. Maybe. Rathmore says, "Hey Rocky, watch me pull an elf off my axe." Again? That trick never works. Now you need to paint a little gnome who wants to capture squirrel and moose. And he has to have a little pencil mustache and a fedora and a wife named Natasha. Hey, Mark UK Painting. Is this live or a replay? Well, Mark, I hope that answered your question. So, Mark, this is my new Tuesday night thing. Every Tuesday night. Or, Tuesday night or 1 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time or a.m. 1 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time or 2 a.m. Central European Time. I have the thing in my head. The letters are GMT, CET, and apparently E in my brain means East instead of European. Central European Time. It starts at 2 a.m. Very few of my European friends can make that. Rage Quit says, you stream often on here, Cathy? Rage Quit, this is my first night. This is my debut appearance. Every Tuesday night, Rage Quit. Every Tuesday night, starting at 7 p.m. Central. Right here on Gen Con TV. Catheee Paints. For better or worse. Peter, I'm glad you're loving it. JD says, with Dia's suggestion, it seems like a no-brainer that the elf ranger is named Rocky. You're right. Yep. Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's canon. It's canon now. I have that emote. Thank you, Rage Quit. Happy Supple Tuesday. It's 2 Stream Tuesday, Big Jim Slay. 2 Stream Tuesday. Tooth Dark says, this is such a treat. Thank you, Cathy. Oh, thank you. Yeah, every Tuesday until Gen Con gets sick of us. Till they get sick of me. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's get some more green on this guy. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry, he says. I don't like you when you're friendly. Orcs, What are you gonna do? So, who uses minis for their D&D? I'm almost certain that there are people in the chat that play D&D. I mean, I do. Who else does? Who else does? I'm just gonna paint dark right down because he's got these eye sockets and you can't really see them underneath the rim of his furry hat, but they're there. So I'm just gonna add some dark color in there to accentuate the shadow, make it look a little deeper underneath there. And then this whole area that's underneath the ear flap of the helmet. Ear flap. I feel like ear flap isn't really the right thing to describe that on a helmet, but you know what? We're rolling with it. It's an ear flap. Rathmore says Cathy's great, but sheesh, did you see the folks that follow her in? Oh, yeah. Those people. The rabble. That's true, Bleeger Dragon. You are some friendly and wonderful people. Except for Slade. C. Griza. C. Griza says, I use minis when I play D&D. Do you paint them? Are they, tell us what kind of minis they are. Mark is Pathfinder all the way. No, I take that back. We played one game. You know what? It wasn't even, Big Jim Slade, would you call it a real game of Pathfinder that we played that one night? We were on a stream and none of us had played Pathfinder. There were 4 or 5 of us. None of us had ever played it. And Big Jim Slade was looking at the rules and we were just making characters and we had no idea what we were doing. It was a hilarious comedy of errors. Star Lady says I have 2 games that are live streamed. Oh, really? That are they games you run or games you play in that are live streamed? I like to watch some live stream D&D. I like to stream some live, like play with my friends who stream it. I personally haven't streamed D&D, but I've played in streamed games, and that's fun. Carol and I certainly play D&D. Certainly play D&D. Yes. JD says the clock on the wall says it's time to go now. Hey JD, thanks for hanging out for the first hour. Have a good night. Sheza says I play D&D, but wait, that's not safe for work, right? Why are we? Wait, what? Wait, what? Look, how you play D&D is your own personal decision. I'm not judging. Tabletop Test Drive says, howdy, hey. Oh, hey, Rick. Tabletop Santa. How you doing? He says we didn't even play. We made characters. We sort of played because one was it Harcher came into the chat and DM'd us from the chat a little. Before we were like, we all need to go. We all need to go do something else. It was terrible. Asmodeus Soulpire says, would you like to play Pathfinder, Cathy? And I feel like the answer would have been yes at one time. But now I find it a little rules heavy. I don't know. I don't know much about it, to be honest. We only did it that one time while we were streaming. And I didn't actually get a chance to look at the rules, but it just seemed way more involved than 5th edition. a D&D, and that's what I've been playing a lot of lately. By lately, I mean over the last few years. So I feel like it would be jarring. On the other hand, if Asmo were running it, then it probably doesn't matter what kind of rules system I'm using. Honestly, rules system doesn't matter as much as who your game master is, right? Ultimately, that's that's how you're gonna have the fun, is with the game master. It doesn't matter what kind of weird rules they throw in. Sheza says, I would like to play Dungeons and Dragons. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, I don't know what you mean, Sheza. I am innocent and pure, and I do not understand your illusion. Mark says Pathfinder is like AD&D 3.5. That was the impression that I was given. I played a lot of 3.5 back in the day. And but then after playing so much 5th edition and then going back to that, like I missed 3.5 when I started playing 5th ed, but now I feel like 3.5 is too much like doing homework. I'm lazy. I'm a lazy gamer. I don't want to do homework. Yes. Yes, Rick, I'm painting a Frameworks Orc Barbarian. That is exactly right. I have this guy, and I have his little elf friend, Rocky. Bullwinkle and Rocky, the elf ranger. So, yeah. I had them all primed up and already based and ready to go. You're setting stuff up in the studio there? Yeah, that's got to be really exciting for you, getting that stuff all set up in your new place. All that space. Star Lady says, sorry, I had my hands full. I play on Wednesdays, 7 Central. I helped put that game together, and based off the success of that one, there is another channel I'm playing in on every other Saturday. Look, Dio, I am painting on Minnie. He's green. See? What brushes am I using? I'm using synthetic brushes because I used synthetic brushes forever and I am terrible at using sable brushes. So I don't use them. I know lots of other people who love sable brushes, but this is my selection of brushes. Uh of all of these, the Winsor and Newton Cotman series, the Cotmans, are my favorites. The 111 round I like sometimes, and then the 222 design I like at other times. And I couldn't tell you why. Sometimes I like to use the round all the time, and sometimes I like to use the 222 designer all the time. I don't know. It's like a weird phase. This one is my junky paint mixing brush. I just use it for mixing my colors because you don't want to. I always say you don't want to get the paint up in the ferrule, near the ferrule, where the metal part is of the bristles. You want to try not to get paint up there. I know sometimes you get carried away with, what you're doing and you think, oh, I'm just going to add a little paint in, and then you end up mixing stuff and it's a mess. But mostly I use this so that I won't ruin my other brushes with paint mixing. So yeah, my favorites have been the Winsor & Newton Cotman series for synthetic brushes, and they're not super expensive. Dio says, I don't think Cathy uses any particular brushes, just what she has to hand, but I may be wrong. Well, now you know. Now you know. I prefer the Winsor & Newton Cotman series, but I do have a bunch of other cheap brushes. I'm not like Jim, though, who likes his number 8 craft brush for all kinds of stuff. I can't do it. Asmo says, I think PF1 is 3.75, Pathfinder 2 is a different animal. Crunchier than 5th Ed, less crunchy than Pathfinder 1. Star Lady says, is it okay if I let you guys know the channels where the games are going to be? I would say that's fine. I have no problem with that. We're all we're all Twitch savvy enough, I hope, to be able to find them without links being posted. Haha, Dio, there's no banning here. Also, in my chat, when you ban somebody, it means you love them. So, just so you know. Just so you know. Rick says, let me send you some of my brushes, my Rick Rolls Master Series O. Oh. Right, Gren, they broke the mold after they made Jim. Yeah. Star Lady says alternate rolls is on every Wednesday at 7 Central, and Sweet Rolls is on next March 19th at 7 Central. And those are her D&Ds that she streams. Yeah, you never give those up. They never let you down. Yep. Too much drying, too much paint drying on the brush while I'm talking. Not enough painting. That's very hard on the brush. When I get paint on the brush and then I go to look at chat and then I look back at my brush and I'm like, oh, well, there was some paint on there. See, I just put paint here and I put too much there, so I ended up taking all of it off before it could dry because I got too much in the wrong place. So we're going to try this again from another angle. Sometimes it depends. The angle you're holding the model makes all the difference. If you're having trouble getting paint on the model one direction, just spin that model around because sometimes it just makes all the difference. Because the way you hold your brush, the paint's going to go on easier one way than the other way sometimes. I don't know why it does that. It just does. I guess the angle of the bristles and everything and the pressure. I don't want to put too much pressure on the antlers, but I do like to brace my fingers on either my hand or some part of the model to steady my hands when I'm painting. But these moose antlers are a little fragile for that, and I'm afraid they'll break off if I try to do this. And I've caught myself a few times doing that, and I had to stop myself. Here's an area where I got my dark color on my highlight. I didn't want it there, so I took my damp brush and I just removed it entirely before it dried. If you can get it before it dries, you're golden. Otherwise, you just have to paint over it. Man, look at this guy's clavicles. They stand out. I like a guy with a good clavicle. I can say that, right? The scrimshaw-esque design on the antlers is amazing. Yeah, right? I love it. I didn't notice it when I was first assembling him, but then when I got to dry brushing a little bit of light color over the primer, it really stood out. All the little scroll work that's carved into the antlers. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah, it says, Cathy, do you have to start painting for Jim's stream soon? We all know that isn't him who paints like that. Ha ha! Oh, Dio. What color should we paint the elf? Should we make him a dark elf? Two buddies going through life, hacking things apart. Bullwinkle and Rocky. The Orc Barbarian and his drow sidekick. Or is Bullwinkle Rocky's sidekick? The not drizzled elf should be a drow. Well, okay. Hey, Balrog Moria. Hey. Wait, someone's trying to start a fight. What? Painted in reds? Yes. Diomedes Industries is correct, Rick. My next convention is Adepticon, which is the same weekend as GaryCon. Unfortunately, because GaryCon is also close enough that I absolutely would have driven up for it. But when they're on the same weekend, I have to do Adepticon. I run a painting area at Adepticon, so I have commitments. Rick says I will be at GaryCon, which is the same weekend as Adepticon. Yeah, yes, it's sad. I have so many friends who will be at GaryCon, and so many friends who will be at Adepticon, but I've been doing the hobby lounge at Adepticon for years now, so that's my thing. Oh, he almost has little nipples right here. Should we just throw a little bit of shading underneath there? You barely can see them because this was sculpted digitally. I can tell this. This was sculpted digitally. And so some of the details on it, wow. My brush doesn't come to a point anymore. Some of the details on it just kind of shrink down into nothingness. When it's reduced in scale like this. So, yeah. He's got, yeah. All right. We're almost done with what time is it? Okay. We're almost done with the darker shade. And we'll be working on these more next week. Next Tuesday. The return of Rocky and Bullwinkle. And if I get enough done on this in the next half hour, we'll start on Rocky's skin next week. Haven't even done any of his back yet. What was I even doing all this time? Rick says, yeah, I'm missing seeing Dave Taylor, my old co-host, and Tim Tulin and so many others. Oh, yeah, yeah, I know them. I know both of them. I didn't know you and Dave worked together, though. He's a good guy. It's funny that I keep running into people who know him. I mean, maybe not, I guess, in the miniatures industry. Alright, now we got some more definition in his back than what we had, which is nice. Slowly working our way around all the muscles. We could have just painted this all one color green. Could have done that. Okay, look at where that clavicle hooks up to the shoulder right there. Dead sexy. Dead sexy clavicles. My goblin bust wishes his were. Oh, now I know what this little area. That's where the arm was attached to the sprue. I couldn't quite get that cleaned up the way I would have wanted. Nice and clean. You almost can't tell. But when I have a magnifier on, I can tell. Once we get their skin colors taken care of, then the other parts, the leathers and everything, can be like, well, they both have brown leather. We can do the same brown. Things get a little faster because we can work on both of them together. Well, I don't know if it gets faster, but we can work on both of them together at the same time. Paint both their leathers. Rick says, yeah, Dave was on and is still one of my old show painting painting happy little minis. Yeah. When you worked at Game Trade Media, Tim is amazing with graphic design. I didn't know you worked at Game Trade Media. Okay. I have heard of that. Dios is Sag. Wait, eyes. Wait, what? Eyes. Eyes. Ginger peach tea. Mm. It's not hot anymore. Not hot anymore. Could we get a stretch break, please? Says V. Alright. After I use the paint that is on my brush. Which won't take long. Then we'll stretch. Because V said stretch, and stretching is an important part of both miniature painting and streaming. As we all know, when you're sitting there for long periods of time, you start getting a little cramped and everything, so then you need something to just relieve the, you know, and I can feel that in my arms. It feels good. It feels good to flex some other areas, stretch some other areas, use some other muscles, sit up straight. This is an important thing to do while you're painting. You got to take a break once in a while. Rick says, yeah, I was the video production manager at Game Trade Media for 6 years. Oh, yeah. Alliance Game Distributors, Diamond Comics Distributors. Yeah. Ah, it feels good. Peter says it's important for video editing too, which I'm doing like 12 hours a day lately. So what you need, Peter, is a Stretch Armstrong. That's what I'm hearing. You need a Stretch Armstrong to help you with that. Dia would like me to drink some water. Misco blood. Misco, Dio just moistened me. It would help you, Peter, because it not only is it stretchy and you can feel it like in here when you stretch it this way, you can feel it in your arms. You feel it in your forearms and in your shoulders and your triceps. I'm telling you, Stretch Armstrong is an underrated exercise tool. I love my stretch. You're on Amazon now buying Stretch Armstrong. Yeah, everybody needs a Stretch Armstrong. You know what? But let me tell you, if I can rant. No, maybe I can't. I got two Stretch Armstrongs, and one is not like the other one, and I'm a little upset at Hasbro for that. I'm a little upset because one Stretch Armstrong, their shorts are dyed into the rubber. The other Stretch Armstrong, also by Hasbro, their shorts are painted onto the rubber. And then I noticed on the bottom of the box in tiny little letters, it says, avoid touching his shorts. I'm like, you're going to give this toy to a kid and tell him to avoid touching his because the shorts, the paint just rubs off. The paint rubs off. Now I have to make shorts for my Stretch Armstrong because otherwise he's going to be naked. And I can't stretch a naked Armstrong on Twitch. I just, you know, not like he's anatomically correct, but still. Poor Stretch. Who who designs a toy to give to kids where where the paint's gonna rub off? Who does that? I mean, I'm assuming Stretch Armstrong is still a toy for kids. And not just an exercise device for weirdos. I could be wrong. We got some good shading in here on this guy. Just imagine when we get the midtones in. I think I have to go in darker on some areas too. Beef up my shadows. See, there's an area right there where where I put the paint on here and then I moved to put paint over here. I didn't glaze it right away with the water. And there's a little watermark there. It's hard to notice, but I notice it, and so it bugs me. But when we go in with our midtone, I may be able to fix that and just cover it up. Midtones will probably be happening next Tuesday, though. So many crazy muscles on this guy. I don't want to do too much shading on the upper part of his uh, arm here. I say that and then I accidentally. That's not okay. That didn't work out too bad. Never mind. I thought I just made a mistake, but no, it's okay. It's all fine. It's all fine. I just realized this whole time my light on the left, my light on that side of me was not bright. It was at its dimmest. Oops. It's like, why is this looking so dark? Why is this looking so dark? Maybe because I need to turn my other light up a little. It's all in shadow. Balrog 8 Moria says terms of service did not specify clothing for the props, if I recall correctly. Yeah, V said she would crochet him a speedo. Jade Dash, welcome in. Hey, how are you? What's up, Jay? Carol says someone probably lost a job over that paint job. I don't know. I have 2 Stretch Armstrongs that are like that. One is a small one, this big, and then this stretch, and I'll show you what I mean. We'll digress for a moment. This is my Stretch Armstrong, and look at his shorts. Look at this. Look at this. I've had this Stretch Armstrong for less than a year, I think. Less than a year. I mean, maybe people aren't expected to handle Stretch Armstrong every day. Well, 4 days a week, anyways. My other stretch with the dyed in color is like Jack LaLanne. Miska says they assume the last one and what? That they assume the last one and you're the only one that buys it. I'm the only person left on Earth who buys Stretch Armstrong. That's probably correct. Tooth Dark says understanding that range of contrast is an amazing skill. Well, thank you. Peter says Kathy's trying to get in trouble already. Big Jim Slade says I like how you think she has to try. Thanks. Thank you. Oh my goodness. It's all fine. It's a doll. Everything's fine. Honest. Poor Stretch. I have to make clothes for him. You know what's going to happen if I make shorts for my Stretch Armstrong? They're going to be plaid. Because that's just how life is in Kathy's world. When I get done with this stream, I'm going to eat some popcorn. What's everybody else doing tonight? I had a salad for supper and I'm starving. Salad only takes you so far. So I'm just working on the shading, the shadows, the darkest parts. There's this little muscle right here on this guy. I think I got it. I think I got it. It's so weird looking. When you paint a lot of models that are muscular like this, whether it's, you know, a barbarian or whatever it is. Like, here's another thing I'll be painting soon. This is my Conan the Barbarian. Now, he doesn't have arms, obviously, so I can't, that's not a good illustration of the arm muscles. But you get this idea once you've painted enough minis that have muscles about where all these muscles are going to be. I mean, you could study anatomy books too and memorize where all those muscles are, but I don't really do that so much. Yeah, yes, Dio, Conan the Presbyterian. Megan says, I possibly maybe keep taking breaks. Oh, you're still painting the 15 dwarves and you're still you should take breaks. Misco Blood says, everyone remember to stay hydrated. I will drink some water, Misco. Everybody drink some water. Leah Dragon says, tonight I'm watching Cathy Wappel paint an orc. Oh my. Rick says, I'm finishing up setting up what I can at the studio, packing for Gamma, making a short grocery list for snacks for the trip because you have to eat like you're 9 years old when you go on a road trip. Are you driving all that way, Rick? Right, Megan? That bust. That bust. V says, hi, Cathy. I love you. I love you, V. Mark says, I just topped the vodka glass up if I need hydration. That's not how that works. You're not driving, you're doing something a little more adventurous. You're taking a Greyhound bus. I thought you were going to say you were ballooning out there, because that would be all kinds of adventurous. I was all prepared for that. So you're not going out to Las Vegas in a hot air balloon? I'm a little disappointed. Not gonna lie, a little disappointed. Ooh, I wanted blue for this, not green. I wanted blue with my orange. I almost made a mistake. Almost. I mean, there's only 2 colors to mix together, so blue and orange. From Michigan to Reno. Yes, yes, from Michigan to Reno. Hot air ballooning in the winter. I don't see a problem here. Blorange. Yes, V, it's Blorange. Mark says I did the Greyhound from New York City to Buffalo. That was it was an adventure, was it? Rick says maybe next year I will take a dirigible. Wait, do they have? Are there a such thing as dirigible rides? Because I feel like there should be. I feel like dirigibles should be a mode of transportation that's viable. I think I think that would be amazing, like luxury dirigible lines. How come nobody's doing that? I'd like to know this. I mean, most people are smart enough to understand that, dirigibles these days don't have to be filled with hydrogen. Maybe it's because there's a helium shortage. I don't know. What do you think? I feel like we should have dirigibles. Just saying. Oof, that got light. Oops. I get a little carried away. I get a little carried away on my camera setting there for a sec. Alright. Going in here to beef up some of these dark areas. I just realized in his mouth is a dark area, so I'm just gonna maybe I throw some red. Is my red still alive on the palette? No. I'll wait. I'll wait till I get the magenta out. Then the good times really start. Once the magenta comes out. One other thing about just using a limited palette like this, where you're just using a few different paints to mix up your other colors, you don't have a problem with different colors clashing so much. The colors end up being more harmonious. They work together. Whereas if you're just finding a bunch of random colors, that you like, that are just in your paint rack, they may not really end up being terribly harmonious, and you might end up with a sort of cacophony of color that may be a little jarring to the eye. I mean, it depends on what you're painting too. Maybe you have a character who dresses like that, in which case, well, then it's perfect. I should be saving this part for midtones. Are you done yet, Cathy? I am almost done. Oh my goodness. Well, we got pretty far on this guy. I'll be taking some work in progress pictures, and we'll be working on him tomorrow. So, no, not tomorrow. We'll be working on He'll be working on this guy tomorrow on my Twitch channel. We'll be working on this guy next Tuesday, right here on Gen Con TV. And Rocky, his sidekick. He's a gray elf. Thank you, everybody, for coming in for my debut of Catheee Paints on Gen Con TV. It was my pleasure to paint green skin for you and chat about all the things. And I'm happy to answer painting questions too. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. Bye, everybody.